You wanted to talk about this before we get on to our next review. You wanted to talk about the Oscar host debacle.
Yeah, because I think when we did our Oscar live cast, we talked about, that there probably isn't going to be a host this time. And there's a host this time. There's 3. There's Amy Schumer, Regina Hall, and Wanda Sykes. And I think when I first heard that news, the first thing in my mind was, this is a really smart move, because you got 3 hosts. You've announced them, and now the internet is going to go through everything they've done and start taking them down. And I think the fun in this is to see who's going to survive by the time the Oscar cast comes around. Which one of these 3 will be left standing to actually host this event.
My vote is for Wanda Sykes. I think she survives. I think Amy Schumer, she's been accused of.
Yeah, I think she's the most vulnerable at this moment.
She's most vulnerable because she's been accused of stealing jokes. It may have been, what they call in comedy parallel thinking, where people come up with a joke that's similar based on, elements that are in the zeitgeist. But I don't know. I think when you have 3 hosts, that's a compromise. And it is going to be like Survivor. They picked 3 to see which one of them will make it to the end. But I think Seth Rogen actually this week had probably the best comment. He said that, like, I think people just don't care about celebrities giving themselves awards. He just doesn't. The general public doesn't care about this anymore. They don't care about the Oscars. Most of the movies they haven't seen. This year, thankfully, people have seen a lot of the films. I think, Dune has the second most nominations, 10, as opposed to The Power of the Dog, which has 12, and that's on Netflix. And, Being the Ricardos is on Amazon Prime. So you can see these movies. It's not like they're playing in, 2 theaters in the United States, right? Like, these aren't obscure indie movies. They're available on streaming, or Dune was a big release on HBO Max and in theaters. They're not repeating that mistake. When the Batman comes out, it's only in theaters. But, I really think Seth Rogen he's right. Audiences don't care about awards. And if they wanted to endear the public, because they're totally going to lean into wokeness. They're totally going to, just lean into everything. People, it's almost like the actors feel, because they're giving speeches to their peers, right? They feel obligated to, outwoke one another with their speech, whatever that is, whatever cause du jour, they're going to champion. And the general public doesn't want to be lectured to anymore. I really think it's clear, in particular at an award show, when so many people are struggling in right now. With, like, do we need to, like, get into politics and talk about, inflation? I went to get gas the other day, and I was, like, shocked. Like, it's straight up $5 in
passing. It's heartbreaking.
It's so, the gas situation is so bad. Like, when I go out to Chino Hills, there's a gas station I go to where I signed up for an app, and then I use one of my credit cards that gives me like 3% off, just so I can sort of, 4D chess saving $1 or $2 on a fill up. I'm not kidding. Like, that's not something I'm too lazy to, I'm not going to sign. I was like, I'm signing up for this app. I'm doing this, and I'm not paying $5 for gas. Utterly ridiculous. There's a weird TikTok video that's been floating around of a woman crying in her car, filming herself saying, I just spent $15 on gas and my tank is only a quarter full. And she's weeping in her car. So, who cares about awards? And on that note, Award This is coming up in May. And if you're an indie filmmaker and you have your movie, it's reviewed on Film Threat and it's available in commercial release, go to awardthis.com and see if you're eligible for our award show. But our award show has more of a sense of humor. It definitely has a sense of humor. It's awards films across all types, including like indie sci-fi, horror, and it's a way more chill awards event that doesn't take itself so seriously. The Oscars have taken themselves so seriously, where they do those Chuck Workman montages, where it's a montage of like the movies, and then they show like Casablanca, Singing in the Rain. Like, it's all the stuff. It's like, okay, we get it. The point of this event is to push the movies as a thing you need to do, as something that needs to be a part of your life, right? And I just don't think it's resonating. I think that, the last 2 years have had people reprioritize the things that really matter, and it's not awards. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
It's
But
not,
I think this has been a growing trend for over a decade now. I mean,
right.
there are years before I was an active critic that, I maybe had seen one of the best pictures, maybe. And, and even expanding it to 10, it was the same thing. It was like,
Right.
I've not seen it. And it's, I think, I think what the Academy Awards has done is it's built itself up to be this prestigious event. And I think people watch it to see what's going to happen. And I think, they're looking for moments of where celebrities are themselves, make mistakes. And I think they've immunized themselves to that in a way,
Right.
to where the only truly free moment an actor has is what they say on stage. And then that becomes a political message. And, I think people are tired of that. And what we want to see out of it, we're not getting anymore.
Well, what Hollywood needs to do and what the Oscars needs to do, the movie industry needs to do, is one, they've got to pivot away from the lecturing that's pissing people off. It's I don't mind that when it's like a small indie movie that actually has a message and a purpose. That's fine, because I expect it, but I don't want to see that in a movie like Uncharted, right? Like I don't, and thankfully Uncharted doesn't have any of that. Uncharted is pretty, it's not woke, it's politics free. And so there you are. But I think that Hollywood and the industry needs to say, you know what, we hear you. The lecturing, we get it, right? We're here to entertain you and take your mind off, gas prices and inflation. And the fact that I go to the grocery store and I'm like, I have 2 bags of groceries. Why is it $100? Like it's.
Oh, you're getting me depressed,
Alan. Like
I know you're getting me depressed now. It's like, oh, my life.
Well, I mean, that used to be Hollywood's job, was to pay attention to stuff like that, and it's not doing that. So their best course of action would be to hire someone like a Ricky Gervais, take the wind out of their sails, to just own it and say, we get it, and even comment on it. We're done doing that, and poke fun at. I feel like that is always the thing that will bring people back, is proving that you have a sense of humor about yourself. If you show to be someone who does not have a sense of humor about yourself, then you deserve what you get.
Well, okay, so let's get back to the host. Wanda Sykes, I think, is probably the closest thing to Ricky Gervais. But the thing is she going to have the kind of freedom that Ricky Gervais had with the Golden Globes?
We'll see.
I would guess, I think she's going to try to push the limits, but I think she's going to get held back either by herself or by the producers. And I don't think we're going to get what we want from her in terms of just biting commentary on Hollywood.
Yeah, well, I hope the writers recognize this. I hope the writers kind of look out and say, and also what I hope they do is do not contribute to the growing division in this country that is very disconcerting, and the marginalizing of marginalizing and vilifying of certain types of people. I see it happening before my eyes, and it's really frustrating, and I just don't want to see that continue. So absolutely. We'll see. I mean, I think we're talking about doing a live stream the night of the Oscars. We'll see. Now